Over the past 6 months, I have been using this camera here, the Fujifilm X100VI, as my daily driver, and I've essentially used it every day. And while there is a lot of good things about this camera, there's also a few things that I would really love Fujifilm to improve. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video, the bad of this camera, or things that have been practical concerns for me over the past 6 months. So I would say, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, let's get to the first topic, which is the battery. And now you're probably guessing that I'm gonna blame battery life and that it's terrible. But the reality is that battery life is okay. Not good, but also not bad. And it's using these smaller batteries, which are not as capable as the ones I'm using in my X-T5 right now. And the X-T5's battery really just lasts for a decade, and I barely ever have to replace it. But on the X100VI, you actually do have to replace the battery. And once you replace the battery, that's when the problems arise. And the problem itself is not actually the battery itself, but the battery door. And you might already see what I mean, which is that the battery door does not actually fully open when you have a tiny bottom plate attached to the bottom of your camera. And what that means in practice is that if you want to replace the battery, you try to get it out, it doesn't actually get out that easily, or not at all, depending on where exactly your bottom plate sits. In my case, for instance, I'm using the Peak Design bottom plate, which actually allows you to slightly put the bottom plate to the other side so that there is no conflict between battery door and the plate, but there is still a conflict between the two. So in other words, if I want to get the battery out of the compartment, I really have to force it. And then of course the same thing again when I hypothetically want to put in a new battery, because again you have to force it for the battery to even go through. In other words, the thread that they use for the bottom plate is a little bit too close to the battery compartment, causing conflicts. And that's actually an issue when you go through a long day of shooting and you cannot charge your camera. And I have like 16 spares, but it's always a bit of a pain if I actually have to change the battery. Let's talk about weather sealing next. And since you watched this video, I assume that you're aware that you need an additional filter to put in front of your lens to actually weather seal the entire camera. And that bugs me for 3 reasons. The first concern I have related to the weather sealing filter is that it adds additional costs to an already expensive camera. And the filter doesn't come inside the box. And Fujifilm charges you an additional $100 to get their original filter on top of an already really expensive camera. In my case, for instance, I went for the third-party one because the third-party one does the job equally as well at a fraction of the price, but it still remains an added cost to an already expensive camera. The second issue I have related to this weather sealing issue is that it adds additional bulk to your camera. Because if you just attach the filter, not even the lens, just the filter to the top of a pancake lens, it actually adds about 50% of the original length of the lens. And if you then on top also add the lenser to it, then you can see that the compact package is not actually that compact anymore. And depending on your pockets, definitely not very pocket friendly. But then the final issue that I have related to weather sealing is that I do not really understand why it is apparently not possible to make that thing weather sealed out of the box. Because yes, I do understand it theoretically why it is not weather sealed, which is that if you have a look at the autofocusing motor, then you can see that it slightly extends and retracts when it focuses. But the reality is that Fujifilm has actually released a 27mm f2.8 pancake lens for the interchangeable Fuji X mount, and that lens also has this external focusing motor. Yet this lens, at least in the second generation, is rated as weather sealed. So why is it possible to get this pancake lens weather sealed, but not the X100V, which is arguably the brand's premium compact camera? Let's talk about the screen next. And the screen is actually really nicely incorporated into the design of the camera. Like there is nothing standing off, it's really just flatly integrated, and it's a two-way tilt screen, so you can actually tilt it up or you can tilt it down. And this might only be me, but I actually do not shoot horizontal that much. I mostly shoot vertical. So if I go in a very low position or very high position, I do not actually see what I do, because the screen on a horizontal level might extend out so I can see what I do. Or if I go very, very high up, I can also see what I do, but horizontally, and I shoot up, I don't see anything because there is no third way to tilt out the screen. And this might only be me, but in my opinion, the three-way tilt screen is the best screen mechanism because it allows you to shoot horizontally, flipping it up, flipping it down, and also flipping it to the side, as it's for instance the case on my X-T5. And back when I was shooting on an X-T30, the main reason why I upgraded to an X-T2 was because that camera had the three-way tilt screen, and it just gave me so much more flexibility to compose vertically at lower angles or at really, really high angles, which is not impossible with an X100VI, but it's really, really hard. All right, let's get to the next concern that I have regarding the X100VI, and that is related to autofocus. And autofocus might arguably the biggest concern that Fuji shooters have regarding the system. And let me start this discussion by debunking a myth that many people propagate, like even very famous big YouTubers with a lot of reach, who argue that the reason why the X100VI's autofocus performance is crap is due to the lens motor. And that is simply not true. And I do understand why some people believe that it's the autofocusing motor that's causing the autofocusing issues on the X100VI, because I do understand that the lens, first of all, when it focuses, makes noises, and it also extends and retracts as you focus, so it doesn't necessarily inspire confidence. But the real reason why Fujifilm cameras are not state-of-the-art when it comes to autofocus is because of the algorithms behind the camera, because all the missed shots that I get on the X100VI, I equally get on my X-T5, no matter what lens and no matter what focusing motor is used to drive the focus in these lenses. So with a margin of error, I could put my 18mm f1.4 with a linear motor on my X-T5, and it would not give me a better hit rate than on the X100VI with its, I don't even know what motor it is. I assume it's a DC cordless motor, but I'm not actually quite sure about this. And the same, by the way, also counts for the lens that I'm using on my camera right now, which is the Viltrox 27mm f1.2. On Fuji, it's always said that this lens has crappy autofocus, but on Sony E-mount, where the same lens is being used with the same motors, is actually performing very, very well. So in other words, it's not due to the lens, but it's really about the algorithms that Fujifilm employs in their cameras that are just occasionally very, very wrong. So let me dissect the autofocusing performance into what it does well and what it does not. And what it does well is when there is only one single person in the frame, it actually tracks that person very reliably. Like I was doing like this tracking round where I had my girlfriend running towards the camera, both zigzaggy, erratically, and also very, very fast. I redid the same test with myself running towards the camera, and I actually had a really, really decent hit rate of between 85 and 95% depending on the run. And in all cases, the camera drifted off only when I was very, very close to the camera. And by the way, I replicated the same on my X-T5 and the 18mm f1.4, and the shots very close to the camera were equally out of focus. But if there is more people in the frame, this is where the problems start. So if you, for instance, shoot street photography and you're in a busy market scene, the camera sees 16,000 different faces. And there is also a lot of faces to track. And the camera tries to focus on all of these 16 faces at once. For instance, when I did my running test, there was at some point people walking by in the background. Their faces were not even obvious, yet the camera drifted off from my face to the face of the people in the background. And you just ask yourself, why? Because subject detection seems to be amazing, but why doesn't it track the right subject? That's the question I'm always asking myself. So if I had to single out one main issue on Fujifilm cameras, then it's the unreliability of subject detection modes, which are the main reason why I only use them when there is only one single face in the frame. For street photography, for instance, I shoot my Fujifilm cameras in single point autofocus in AFC, disabling all subject detection modes, because I know that in single point autofocus, I will nail focus in literally 99% of cases as long as the AF box is placed correctly over the subject that I want to have in focus. And don't get me wrong, I know my method is a bit old school these days, where Sony, Canon and all the others have a really good, sophisticated, robust autofocusing system. But since I very carefully compose my scenes and pre-focus where I anticipate my subject to be, shooting single point is my absolute go-to most of the time, and the autofocusing concerns that the X100VI has only partially affect my shooting style. But overly speaking, the autofocus is not very consistent on the X100VI. That's a fact as of now. Do you agree with the criticisms that I mentioned in today's video, or do you have other criticisms? Let me know in the comment section below, and if you're interested why so many people misunderstand what the X100VI is meant to be, then I invite you to check out this video up here in which I tell you all about it. And with that being said, thank you so much for sticking till the end, and I hopefully see you in next week's video. Bye.